Hello there guys. Okay, I swear this is not turning into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure channel, but after finally wrapping up my mega Stilvoll run in real life video, I felt like making a bit of bonus content to it. Over the course of researching and planning that race over several years, I discovered a lot of behind the scenes details about the manga JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but a lot of it didn't directly relate to the Stilvoll run race, so I didn't include it in the original video. But I felt like it would be a huge shame if it all went to waste, so I'm creating this short extras video for fans to appreciate because I still think it's interesting. As stated in the original video, I tried to analyze the manga author Hirohiko Araki's reference library, as it looked at the time he was interviewed by Jump Ryu in 2016. This dates the interview to several years after Araki's completion of Stilvoll Run, and while he was in the middle of releasing and working on his next part, JoJolion. Understandably, we see a mix of books relevant to both parts. Beginning with Stilvoll Run, we can see several books about the American West that Araki used to create his own version of the Wild West in Stilvoll Run. For example, the photography book Points of Interest, California Views 1860 to 1870 contained a few photos that he seemingly traced or heavily referenced for some panels. This 1860s photo of three men standing in front of a train was used as a kind of filler panel within Stephen and Lucy Steele's backstory in Chapter 61. We actually know this train's name. It's the CPRR, Central Pacific Railroad Locomotive Number 45, Majestic. I'm not sure what happened to it, but I'm assuming it no longer exists. I also think it's kind of funny that it's entirely possible that the men in this photo could have living descendants who have no idea that their ancestors' biggest achievement is now being recorded in a Japanese manga. I unfortunately spent a lot of time searching in vain for other photos likely referenced in this flashback. It would have been really cool to identify Lucy's real family. Moving on, Araki used this 1896 painting by the American artist Frederick Remington in a similar way. The painting, titled The Surrender of Chief Joseph, or The Truce, depicts the formal surrender of the Nez Perce Chief Joseph to the American Army in Montana on October 5, 1877. The scattered bodies represent the aftermath of the Battle of Bear Paw and the resulting siege. Araki has basically removed all the living figures and focused primarily on the dead, so it can serve as his representation of the sinister Devil's Palm, an inhospitable wasteland in the deserts of Arizona that kills most who enter it. The American Army has been replaced with a cruel sun with a death's head. The anime has chosen to adapt this panel as well, drifting more and more from the original Remington drawing. Frederick Remington's work appears to have been a favorite of Araki at this time, and informed his understanding of the American West. He also references his 1902 painting The Cowboy on Volume 6's cover, putting Valkyrie in the same pose. By the way, I actually got to see a real Remington painting while I was on my Stilvoll run in Chicago, which was kinda cool. The very striking camouflage birch tree paintings of Bev Doolittle in her book The Art of Bev Doolittle also serve as an inspiration for these covers. The book American Frontier and its distinctive two-page spreads of historical Western gear likely inspired these panels in Chapter 4, cataloging in detail Gyro's riding equipment. Funny enough, after my video was published, I actually found one additional real-life location in Stilvoll Run that someone could theoretically visit. These rocks that the Pork Pie Hat Kid falls off in Chapter 27 are real, but thankfully they wouldn't have changed my race route because they are not in America, or anywhere near where this scene takes place in Monument Valley. These rocks are based on this photograph, found in the book Reader's Digest Natural Wonders of the World, and are actually located in Tinahani Canyon, Peru. Less convincingly, within this same book is a photo of Landscape Arch in Arches National Park in Utah, which may have served as an inspiration for this panel depicting the Devil's Palm in Chapter 20. With my channel's background with dinosaurs and paleontology, I was really curious to see if I could find Araki's reference material for the dinosaur stand Scary Monsters. My first exposure to JoJo before I read or watched any of it was actually through Scary Monsters, when fans of mine would occasionally ask me to critique the scientific accuracy of the dinosaurs. As any paleontologist can tell you, JoJo's dinosaurs are a bit outdated. Araki himself admitted that he primarily based them on the 1993 movie Jurassic Park, and we can definitely see this with Diego's dinosaur form, which greatly resembles the velociraptors in that movie, with the blocky head, prominent pelvic bone, and stereotypical limp dinosaur wrists. All traits that were not exactly scientifically accurate even for 2005. But again, this is a fictitious manga, and none of these are real dinosaurs anyways. Oof, I feel like I'm really getting back into my roots here. But I also did find another influence in his library, a Japanese translation of the 1991 book The Great Dinosaur Atlas. I always felt like Diego's dinosaur form on this cover for Chapter 30 looked a bit more like a baryonyx than a velociraptor, and sure enough this book has a whole page devoted to baryonyx that closely resembles this design, so I might have been right. At other times, it seems like Araki primarily based Diego on this Deinonychus. And lastly, a lot of the horses in Stilvoll Run seem to not actually have been referenced from books or photos, but from models. During this interview, in Araki's office we can see 3 horse figurines that he likely posed and referenced while drawing. One of them is a mounted Indian archer, and I think he might have inspired the scene that opens the manga. Also on this shelf seems to be a copy of a Roman bust depicting the Westmacott athlete from Rome's Capitoline Museum. Now, moving on to the books relevant to JoJolion, many of these appear to have been purchased more recently and have a much heavier focus on interior design and modern architecture, and you could definitely see this influence in Part 8. I couldn't find much as far as direct inspiration within these books outside of one thing. Probably the most exciting discovery was my identification of the Higashikata house, a major setting of the manga. For its design, Araki seems to have relied on the architecture book X House, and the house itself seems to be a slightly modified version of the JVA Summer House, or Vestfold 2, constructed in 2009 on the coast of Vestfold, Norway. Though it's not an exact copy, it's pretty dang close, down to its waterfront view. So if you want to visit the Higashikata house in real life, you could, it's just not in Japan, it's in Norway. Its exact location, however, is kept a secret. I couldn't find much detail on its cost or current ownership, but I'm assuming it was expensive. Though again, it's not a perfect match. Other details of the house seem to be inspired by several designs by the famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright. And lastly, there was a Japanese book titled Comprehensive Learning Encyclopedia: Living Creatures, Observing Their Care and Behavior. I couldn't obtain a copy for myself, but based on the cover alone, Araki seems to have developed Jobin's stag beetle fight idea in chapters 33 to 34 from this book. And yeah, that's basically all I was able to discover so far. I gotta say, it was really cool to see an artist's behind the scenes process, and seeing where they get their ideas and inspiration from. If anything, it makes me appreciate Araki's work even more. But in any case, I will see you next time. I promise I'm gonna return to some archaeology stuff, some history, cryptids, I don't know, I'm leaving JoJo for a little bit, okay? I'm moving on, don't get angry with me. Alright, goodbye.